Alright, so this is a practice recording, and today I'll be doing this because I want to try and make a video journal diary, kind of like once a week. I was going to try and do it once a week, but I'm going to try and aim for twice a month. Basically what I'm going to be doing is trying to put myself out there, get used to recording myself, get used to doing things, changing the settings when I have to, just in my downtime whenever I have time possible. That's why I think once a week is going to be too much, because it's when we have downtime, I want to spend by myself and just play games and not worry about how to recording, because I felt that way before. It's like, oh, I gotta record this, or I gotta post this, or I gotta worry about it being perfect. And so this is me getting used to those imperfections and trying to get the settings right, trying to feel more comfortable and get used to doing this sort of thing. So hopefully I'll have this video up on New Year's Day or before, or maybe I'll post it tonight, which is December 29th, 2024. And then from here on out, it's just attempt to do it. I know I want to post gameplay as well, like just me playing something, just something I enjoy. Recently I've been enjoying Helldivers 2, and I want to post some more of that, but I know it's boring for me to just sit here and play whatever, because I gotta get used to talking, and so this is me getting used to into the habit of talking, especially when I'm quiet all the time. I'm usually so focused into the game, I'm into doing whatever I want to do, and so I think it's gonna be a challenge, because I'm sure I might not even post this might be just for myself, but if I do post it, hello, welcome. And I hope this is the beginning of a journey. I don't know, maybe a good one, decent one. Occasionally you might hear stuff in the background. That might be my rabbit, which I could show a picture of. I could start that as my beginning into editing. It's like I've already done some editing in the past. If you look at the previous videos, it's just I haven't done it well enough to feel like I could say, oh, I edit my own videos and stuff like that. And so I'll post a picture of him. Well, let's say right here. I was hoping to go on the other side, so I'm getting used to like how the camera looks. Like, oh, look, he's right here. But then like I went over here because it's more natural for me to point this way. Whatever. And I know I'm gonna be rambling a lot because I have to get used to talking, and I feel like that's part of like playing those games and getting used to like just putting yourself out there. It's just that rambling and connecting with people, whatever is on my mind. Like I may put a video out there that's just on my mind. Like recently I've been reading like poetry books, and so it's like maybe I want to talk about that for this week. Maybe I read something that I'm like, oh, that's been on my mind a lot. And I'm hoping that me being able to put these videos out there, I'm able to get that stuff off my mind and able to talk about it and express myself in any way that I can. I know, like I said, I've recently been playing Helldivers, but another game that's been on my mind recently that I definitely want to like do a video on and talk about is Disco Elysium. I've recently been playing that one. I took a break from it for a while because I was playing it. I finished it, and then I started going back for the trophies, and I think I put too much pressure on myself to go back for the trophies. So I definitely go back and enjoy it and just enjoy the dialogue, because that was some point I started skipping through it just to get to the trophies, and I know I'm missing a whole bunch of dialogue I would have loved. If you haven't played it, I guess that'll be my recommendation for this video. Play Disco Elysium. Tell me what you think. I loved it. I know it didn't come out this year, but if I were to say my top game for this year that I've played personally, definitely would be that game, Disco Elysium. It's up there. Enjoyed it, loved it. Second one I played, finished got the platinum for was Wolfenstein, uh, New Order, and I love that one too. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I started playing New Colossus. Uh, the only thing I think that's stopping me from playing it is definitely getting the trophies, because I get in that mindset of like, I get the trophies, I gotta start getting all the collectibles in the way. But I gotta get in the habit of, okay, just play through the story and then you'll be fine. And so the one thing I definitely don't like about New Colossus so far versus the New Order is New Order, I felt like the areas you fight in are more condensed, which is weird to think about, because when you think about it, you're like, oh, there's an open battlefield arena, especially in like New Colossus, but I feel like it's too open, where I enjoyed the more narrow shooter of New Order, how it was all felt more intense and more close together, like you were actually going through these buildings and you're actually going through these sewage systems, which I didn't like. The water levels obviously are annoying, but I just remember enjoying just how close everything was and how it felt like an actual area. Well, I haven't gone that far in New Colossus yet, so I'll definitely be continuing that before I say I don't enjoy it as much, because I know I definitely want to finish it first before I compare the two more. But yeah, back to Disco Elysium. I loved it. It takes me a while to get started in getting into games, and that was one, because I remember starting it quite a few times and not getting very far and just putting it down, and maybe I picked something else up. I'll typically put something down even though I'm enjoying it, and then I'll just never pick it up again, but I'll be like, I remember enjoying that, but I don't remember finishing it. And that was one of those things where it's like, I gotta finish that eventually. And so I eventually picked it up. I played through it. I think where I started to get hooked was I started to understand it more. I think that's typically one thing that stops me, is when I don't understand something right away, I'll stop playing it until I think it clicks for me or I get it. And I think the one thing that did click for me is when I started to understand how the system works for the rolling the dice and the statistics, and how your personality plays a role in how, like, it's talking back to you. And after it clicked for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed how the skill points you put into those personalities, they talk more often, especially since I think when it finally not just clicked for me, but when I finally understood that, okay, this game's a lot deeper than what I think it is when I finally got a trophy called the Sorry Cop, which is one of the first trophies I got. And I realized, oh, okay, this game's actually not changing, but it knows what dialogue options I'm deciding, and it's basing like who I am off those dialogue options. Especially if you get like the different like memories you could have that you could place on yourself, like you could be communist, you could be fascist. And for me, it was getting that sorry cop and feeling bad for myself, and then getting, I forget if you get negative points towards yourself for that or not. And so I think it was at that point I was like, okay, there's something deeper going on here. And definitely when other memories start popping up, like the communism one or like the fascism one, like my wife currently is doing the playthrough. Like I told her, I just wanted to watch her play it, and then she already told her about my playthrough, so she's picking all the opposite ones I did, or at least trying to be the worst person possible while I was trying to be the best cop possible. I tried to, try to recover from an addiction and become a better person than my previous self. I wanted Harry to succeed. I wanted him to sober up and get back into society and become a more successful individual human being, even if the system is the one that may have drove him into that in the first place, and he's still living in that system. It's like maybe he could make benefit for someone else. I'll definitely be getting into spoilers here shortly, but to cap it off, like, hopefully I didn't spoil it already. The non-spoiler section is, I loved it. I went into the ending like I usually when I go into mysteries, I try to guess the ending, and I try to figure out who it was. And I was like, okay, I think I know who it is. But then getting towards the ending, well, I guess I'm on spoilers right now, huh? Well, getting towards the ending, I guess I felt like, okay, I don't know who it is. I don't know what happened to the hangman, but I am hooked. I'm thoroughly hooked. Usually when I get into mystery and the killer hasn't been revealed yet, and there's someone new that just comes out of blue, I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like there's always breadcrumbs leading to whoever it is, and we should know who it is by now, or like they're in the story already. But this is one of the times I felt satisfied with the story's ending and a mystery being resolved, because I felt like the motives were very clear for who the killer was. Well, since we're talking about the spoilers, the sniper, I felt like he had very clear motives of why he was doing things, especially since there's a very small point that I didn't know would become into importance later on at the very end, which was when you catch the flower. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you played all the way through, then I definitely look it up, because it's one of those very small, minuscule things that I didn't think would become important later, and it turns out it's like if somebody knew the area and they knew where that flower came from, they would have probably solved the case sooner than Harry would have. At the same time, it's like you don't know the area, you're blackout drunk, and you just happen to catch this flower, and you think about it for a second, and you just kind of put it in the back of your mind, but you know it's there. And I put it in the back of my mind and completely forgot, and the fact that it came up later and the sniper's in that field of flowers, it definitely plays into his into his backstory, or like his motive, definitely, especially with her and leaving the flowers behind. It's like, okay, I understand his motive, I understand why he's doing things, I understand why he did what he did, but and then having a whole separate motive from himself, and then like thinking like, okay, this is the reason why I did what I did, but you being able to say like, no, you didn't do it for that reason, you did it for a completely different reason, because you caught this one flower this one time, and saying like you left it there for her to find, like you feel emotional attachment to her. And I feel like this played more into having an emotional reason to do something than a logical one, where the sniper then tried to apply a logic to what he did, when it was, I believe, an emotional choice. Especially when he's been watching this person the whole time, like secretly, and then he's getting to know her, but she's not getting to know him, and there's not that connection for them. And I feel like he was very not upfront with his feelings, and I think just after his own revolution, he kind of buried his feelings deep down with bitterness and hatred, and a new one came up eventually when he found her, the lady, I forget her name at this point, I think I remember, but I don't want to mess it up. I think it's Khaleesi. I think, I'm sorry, names I'm terrible at, but I think when he finally felt a connection to someone, at least he thought a connection, but it was actually like lust, I believe, and he tried to make it more romantic. And then when he finally took matters in his hands, he buried that deep down, saying like, okay, I didn't actually love her, or I didn't feel anything for her, I just hated this guy due to what he stood for. And he could have, like, it definitely could have been a logical choice, and it makes sense if you want to think about it that way too, but at the same time, to me it's a more emotional game than it lets on. I know your emotional points are at front, and at the beginning they talk to you, but I think people's motives are more persuaded emotions in this game than logic, because then you got the phasmid people as well, which was another one. I was like, okay, it's a simple, silly little side quest to get into the game, the world of Disco Elysium, which I absolutely love. Like, I started watching more videos on Disco Elysium. I started learning more about the Pale, and it's just like, I would love to do a tabletop game in this setting, and it would be amazing. Especially since I think Call of Cthulhu system would work in there, but in any system would work. It's just, I feel like it was kind of built for that, and I wish it had its own system, or at least it had its own like the developers of the game or the writer. I know the whole development team broke apart, but it's like, I wish they made a tabletop system before they did or broke up, or at least put something out in the world so that people could flesh it out and like, okay, this is what's going on here, this is what's going on here. I think they do give enough to make it feel like, okay, this is how you could build a world. At least they give you a good base to start from, especially just playing Disco Elysium alone and going through every single dialogue tree, every single thing that Encyclopedia gives you, all the shivers gives you, let alone I think you'd build stuff off of, and just all the books you could read. I don't remember every single thing about the game, but I remember just loving it and just wanting more. And I know sadly we won't be anymore, at least anytime soon. And even if we do, it's like, will it be the same? Will it be the hype of the first game, or just Disco Elysium itself? And it's weird because it's just like lightning in a bottle for me. And I've been wanting to talk about this game for a long time, if you can't tell. I wish I could look up when I got the platinum, or not the platinum, but at least, the starting trophy, so I could say when I started it versus when I finished it. Let's see, what else to talk about? The music in the game, it's wonderful. Like, I'll listen to it once in a while, like maybe driving to work, or just when I feel like listening to something to space out to. The Disco Elysium music is always great, especially the Whirlin' Rags music, like especially when you get to the 8 a.m. versus the night music. It's more relaxed too. And then whenever you leave the Whirlin' Rags, there's these horns. It's so beautiful. I love it. Like, I could listen to that song every day, and just how it plays into the game. And I always love games when there's that needle drop moment towards the end. I know one notable one for me is like Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like halfway through the game you're going into Mexico, and then there's also one towards the end when you're going to see your family again. And those were two really good ones that stood out to me, and I always take a moment to just keep replaying those parts of but whenever I replay the game, even if I don't want to watch the cutscenes again, I'll definitely replay those parts, because I know they're always fun to listen to and to ride to. And even if it doesn't pop up, then I just go back and reload the save. And so when I got to the end of this game, Disco Elysium, when I got to the end of Burn Baby Burn, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the end of the game. Like, I know they tell you, like, okay, you know, make sure everything's taken care of before you get on the boat, because you may not be coming back. But getting on the boat, listening to the song, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is where the ending is. This is where find out who the killer is, find out the reason. And I know I jumped from top to top because I got to get back to the phasmids. And so when you get onto the island, I kind of rushed that part of it, and I skipped over taking a nap the first time, and I didn't realize it was something you could do, or at least it's not something that affects the game. Like, I thought, oh, if you fall asleep here, the killer's gonna get away, and then it's gonna blame you for being a lazy cop. And so I skipped it the first time, but going back and playing it because I saw that there was a trophy attached to it, and actually listening to the dialogue and finding out about your ex-partner, and not partner in crime obviously, but like your ex-significant other, and how your choices kind of played a role in that, especially you like those little things that build up into something great. Like especially when you have that little toy, and you bring out a toy. Like I carried it the whole time of the game. Like I bought it just on a whim, and I didn't know it came to something like it, and something great. Like not great obviously, but just a little extra dialogue. It somehow knows that if you take care of or you buy simple things and it gives you these extra dialogue options that adds to the world, that adds to you learning more about Harry Duval and his past. And I think it's those little notches in the game are what make me love a game more, and it makes me want to go back and play it entirely again and just making different choices. Like I don't want to feel I hate doing bad playthroughs. Sometimes I enjoy them, but in some games like I'll start going over to good because I hate doing the bad playthroughs. This is one of those games like you have to do the bad playthroughs to get all the trophies, so I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm also looking forward to the dialogue options. I know another one that I hate doing the bad playthrough is like New Vegas, especially when you can end up killing everyone. And I love the companions of that game. I like the quests, I like the people, and it's like doing the bad options is not fun, but at least not what I choose, but they do make it fun. I feel like at least in New Vegas. I can't say the same for Fallout 3 personally, or 4. That's all another rant for a different time, but back to Disco Elysium, at least for now. I think I'm just going to make this whole separate video for it instead and say okay, I'm going to upload 2 parts. This one and explain what I'm going to do, and then Disco Elysium, but we'll see. Keep going with the video. This is me deciding things currently. Like that's my thought process. Just things off the top of my head. Okay, back to what I was saying earlier. The music, love it. Gameplay, love it. I like how it doesn't punish you for save scumming. Like I know people don't like when you load save, but I feel like if you want to join the game your way, and if you feel like you want to succeed in that check, or if you feel like you should, if the game's going to be more interesting, played it a different way. Like, oh no, if I pass the dialogue option, I feel like I'd be enjoying the game more. And then it's like, okay, it's like you play it the way you want to. And I like that you could do that in the game. It doesn't punish you for it. At least that I know. I know there's hidden things in the game I gotta look out for. What else is there to say? The art style is amazing. Love the art style. I want to get into drawing because of the art style. I just want to copy it and make my own art out of it because it's beautiful. Especially when you get to the main menu and then I remember watching a video and someone saying, oh, this is the view of the sniper watching Revachol. It's like, oh, that clicks, because then at the main menu you're just there on the island looking out and seeing Revachol and like how he would view it, how he sees like Marnay and this junked up little town, and you know it's where his revolution failed, it's where he failed, but then he sees in the distance his opponents succeeding, the enemies of him and his comrades and his friends succeeding, and it's like eventually you're going to go bitterness and tired watching this system succeed that you fought against and that you saw your friends die against, and you're lucky to survive. And so I feel like part of that, like having that survivor's guilt for him too, because it's like why did he survive when the revolution died? Why couldn't the revolution live on and he died? I feel like. And so it's getting back to the end of the game. And speaking of the end, like I was talking about the phasmids earlier, the phasmids definitely, like how was one silly little side quest ended up being like a whole conversation at the end, which I loved. And I didn't realize that there are some things you can't get in the game because you missed having those certain skill points, and one of them was the phasmids. And right now I know my wife's playing through the game and she can't talk to her necktie, which I was able to, and even though I like refused to do what he said most of the time, I loved when the necktie would pop in and say like, hey, this is what we should do, you should do drugs, you should do alcohol right now, you see that stain on the counter, go ahead, look it up. I'm like, no, I'm okay, I'm trying to make a better self. And so talking to the phasmid at the very end, I think made me understand that this world is bigger than Harry, and that there are other things going on. Because before I always felt like there was like some supernatural thing going on underneath the surface. Not enough to affect the plot in any way, but just enough to make me think like, okay, maybe this is possible. The Phasma thing is possible. At the end of the day, it's like no one believes you, and it's like no one. Why would anyone believe you? Phasmids aren't real; they're just fake things. But then turning out to be real, it's like it makes sense in this universe. I could see that. Like I can understand it. It's not something that comes out of blue, and even if it does surprise you, I think it's a welcome surprise because if you're able to talk to it, I feel like you get something out of it, and it just adds to the game and like the special little moments leading up to the end of the game, and like, okay, so this was important overall, and like just coming full circle, which I love. I love when a game ties up those knots and everything. And so far I talked about the art, the music, the ending of the game. I love the emotional side of the game, which is beautiful. I feel like there's a deep connection you could have just by maybe not by connecting with the main character because of like the way you play. It definitely affects your not your emotion, but like I said, the choices you make. Like I said, I got the sorry cop, so it's like there are things I say in my life that I say like, okay, I say apologize a lot, so it's like getting the sorry cop made me realize, okay, I do it in games too. Like if the game gave me a choice, I'd be doing the same thing I'd be doing every day of my life. I'd be saying sorry a lot. I'd apologize and try to make things right when sometimes it's not possible. Like with the maid at the Whirling Rags, like she says not to call her again. She doesn't want to talk to you. It's like, okay, understand. The bridge is burned. And, sorry, keep looking at the connection, see it blurry a bit, but like I said, fix it in time. I think the thing I'll end on when I say I love Disco Elysium. This video's going on a lot longer than I thought, I'm sorry. The last thing I want to talk about, definitely when it comes to Disco Elysium, Kim. I think without him, the game would have been great, but I don't think it would have been as fantastic as it was. I think Kim being there, him being able to add his side to it, especially when like well, I wouldn't spoilers, but especially since if you switch him for Kuno, you definitely feel it, but then also the game's somehow good enough to make you like Kuno, at least for me. I loved Kuno, but that was because I didn't get him first. I got Kim first. And when I learned that Kuno takes over, I'm like, that's interesting. Because at that point, I already beat the game. And I was like, okay, that'd be interesting. Like, what else do you learn about this kid? Because his father being a drunk, him being into drugs, and the Kuno-S, like, relying on him and then kind of, like, relying on each other, even if it's a abusive relationship, sort of, like, definitely don't work well together. It's like they need each other, and it's like you take them away at the end. And it's just interesting to see how Kuno changes in that short amount of time. Like if you make a positive impact on him, like I'm sure you can make a negative impact on him too and have a bad ending with him. But I think Kim made me want to make the right choices more often than not. Not that I want to trying to be already, but when he said he was disappointed or something, then it's like, okay, maybe what I said or what I did was the right choice, even if I felt like it accomplished what I wanted it to accomplish. I think the only time I ever pushed Kim to do something was when I wanted him to dance, and so I got the dialogue option for him to dance, which that was fun. I love that. And I know now it's like you get the jackets, you could both wear jackets, because I didn't think he'd actually put on the jacket, so I didn't push him any further. And I think that played along with my sorry copness, because if like anybody showed some sign of resistance, especially Kim, then I didn't push any further. I just like, okay, that's not something you want to do, that's not something you want to do, but right now that you can push them to put on the jackets is kind of fun. And the fact that he might actually enjoy it, who knows. Yeah, the game's fantastic. I'm sorry I went on a longer rant than I intended. I intended this first video to be shorter, but then I was like, okay, I know I wanted to get this off my chest for a while, especially when talking about Disco Elysium. I definitely gotta get better at describing how, staying on topic, describing things. I definitely make a list. Like I said, if you haven't played it, loved it, go play Disco Elysium. Give it some time. The system's gonna be weird. Don't worry about dying. You could load save pretty easily. I started off with the pre-made classes. I recommend starting off with one of those. Something that fits your playstyle usually, like aggressive or you thinker. Start with one of those. Unless you feel like you know what you're going for, then it's okay to custom edit. Because I tried the custom edit first and I don't think it went well for me. I think I made it too outlandish because I know it went for mostly Inland Empire at first. But yeah, try it. I recommend it. Get on sale if you want. Let me know what you think at the end because I was blown away by the game. Like I said, I haven't stopped thinking about it since. It's been on my mind. And just everything, the music, the art style. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know about improvements I can make. I definitely could change. Just for now, like the focus definitely looks all blurry. And definitely everything behind me looks too out of balance. Like the white balance is definitely off. It's definitely messed. And I definitely gotta fix that. So that's one thing I'd fix. Thank you if you stayed the whole time. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me ramble, especially talking about Disco Elysium for the better half of this video, the majority of this video. I hope I get to post again soon, and I hope I actually post this. That's the thing. Yeah, like I said, please let me know what you think. Improvements that can be made. I enjoy any feedback. Please be constructive with it. Not just say the video is bad. Unless you want to make a joke, then just say this video is bad. And I hope you do have a better day. Do that. But thank you for staying the whole rant. Have a good day or good night. Just I hope the next 24 hours is good for you and beyond that. Have a good day.